Über deinen Beruf in China. Was machst du in China?
In China arbeite ich in einer Inspektionenbetrieb und dort mache ich mein Praktikum und ich bin da für schön für sechs Monate.
6 Monate. After you do your practicum in China, what do you plan to do after?
Yeah, that's a good question because I like traveling and I like to go to other countries and experience how the life in the countries is, learn about the language a bit or maybe a bit more, just depends on how long you stay in the country. So finally after I graduate I will come back to Asia, definitely. I'm not sure yet which country. I do like China, but I've already been there for 9 months as I told you. So maybe I can switch to another country. It depends of yeah, the possibilities that I have for a job. But even if it's a country like Middle East or Latin America, even Africa, it's okay for me. I'm really open for all countries. Yeah, I would like to come back here for a job or maybe do something with translations and start our own company. I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah, talk to us about your company. Yeah, it's a startup company.
So I created a website. I just created last week. The name is www.lettheworldtranslate.com. So what we do is, because the last few years I traveled a lot around the world and I went to many countries where I met many people with another native mother tongue, with another language. And I checked out the market, the Dutch market, also the European market. I did some marketing research about translation companies and how much they charge for a translation. And like in Holland, also other countries in Europe, there's many companies that are willing to pay 12 euro cents for every translation. And I thought, hey, I have the network, I'm passionate about languages, I think I can arrange this better. So I started this project and I already did like 20 or 25 translations last few months, and it works perfectly. So there's like native speakers all over the world who speak English very well, and they translate from English to their native language for a very good price. And yeah, this price is so far only 7 euro cents for every word. I think this makes sense. So you help the world translating, and you help like students in Indonesia or maybe in Philippines, yeah, to have a good job as a translator. So you also support them. So like this way we want to build a global network of translators, and in the end everybody can translate.
What's the website again?
www.lettheworldtranslate.com.
Lettheworldtranslate.com.
So what do you want to do? You want to stay here in the Philippines all your life, or because you speak so many languages, or you have many possibilities to get a
The thing is,
scholarship?
you speak a lot of languages here.
Yeah.
The jobs where you're gonna be employed,
Yeah.
the demand is always high for multilinguals, but the supply is always low. So it's like some sort of job security thing, that you're not gonna go jobless, and they pay well.
Yeah.
So leaving is actually quite hard to do, because you have to give up your language premium and stuff. But at the same time, I like to experience living abroad, just to study or work. Not really work. And languages, I think I got lucky, because there's always those stories about not finding jobs.
Yeah.
For me, it has been very easy ever since, because just because I speak Spanish. I mean, I graduated with a degree in political
When
science.
did you start speaking it on
job?
like really speaking? So not only studying in school, but when you start your job?
2006. So I started working part-time for a call center.
So how was like that switch? So first you studied Spanish in school, and then you had to use it on a daily basis and like on the phone. How was that change at the time? The switch from the books to the real conversational.
It was exciting at first,
Yeah.
because it's a different thing. Because when you're in university, it's some sort of, I don't know, simulated. So you read from the books.
Yeah.
It depends on the professor. If the professor is kind of what you call this, inventive enough. Depends on his way of managing the class. But my experience has been the students were just forced to get the language for for credits. So when you're not really into it, it could be quite a difficult thing to do. And in a way, you're also weighing down the other students because they can practice. So I was kind of frustrated with that. But when I started applying for jobs, I wasn't even a graduate yet. That's the immersion part. So they just let you answer phones, and you do your own ad lib.
Yeah. Was it hard to speak Spanish at the beginning on the phone?
Sort of, but the thing about it is it's all because of I don't know, panic attacks. Because you think you couldn't, you won't understand the other person.
Yeah. What do you do then in that kind of situation?
Of
If you
course,
are on the phone and you are speaking with your customer or the client, and you don't understand them in another language, what do you do? You say, okay, what are you with a colleague or?
There's a mute button.
Yeah.
No, you have to find a way to understand them. So it's either you ask them to repeat what they said, or repeat what they said in your own way. Just for clarification, if you understood it correctly.
Do they get frustrated or angry sometimes?
The thing about Latin American clients is that they are very polite.
Oh really?
Yeah. I've worked for around 3 years in call centers, cumulative. Because my work now is more research. And I think I've only encountered around 10 rude people who really shouted.
Only 10? Okay.
Yeah, for 3 years.
Did you learn from it or not?
Yeah, of course you learn from it.
Yeah? What do you remember, like last time when somebody was shouting at you, what did he say? Learn more Spanish. Learn more Spanish.
Not really. That's the time when they discover that you're not native. But most of course you have to understand them. They're customers. You're also a customer at some time. You have to understand that those people are frustrated, so they need someone to vent out their frustrations on. And you are representing the company, so you have to take the bulk of it. And if someone shouts at you on the phone, makes you more alert.
Next time.
Yeah, you understand more. So yeah, I think that's how I was able to develop my Spanish and Portuguese skills. If I didn't work in a call center, I think my Spanish would be very bad. I'm not saying that it's very good.
What about Portuguese? You learn Portuguese only from work, right? From the work you did in the call center.
Yeah.
How was the switch from Spanish to Portuguese?
At first I thought it was Russian.
Yeah.
It sounded like Russian or some Slavic language. But the thing about it is our colleagues from Brazil spoke to us in Portuguese and we spoke to them in Spanish. And we understood each other. So I think it was weird like that.
Okay, so and after that you just try to copy their pronunciation and really that's how you learn?
I never studied Portuguese in the classroom.
Never.
But you don't want to do like hardcore translation interpretation.
Myself?
Yeah, like for conference or something.
No, because I know some languages, but here Alfred is really the master. I'm not that good, of course my native tongue is Dutch, and then after that English, but most Dutch people do speak English as their second language, so it's not that special. Mandarin is quite okay, but like my level is not high enough to do translations or that kind of thing. That's also not my goal if I learn a language. I just want to be able to communicate with the people, travel there, learn a bit about their culture. So that's for me the main goal. So I rather learn many languages. A lot, not like real fluency. Of course, fluency is great, and I respect people who can speak many languages fluently. But it's too hard for me. I'm sorry.
So it's breadth over depth.
That's what I mean.